Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Claire Robbins. I'm head of Sir John Law's School, and on behalf of everyone at the Alban Teaching School Hub, I'm delighted to welcome you to this, our launch event. Over the past few years, I think we'd all agree that the work of teaching schools has been a development that's really led to improvement of the wider school sector. And it's also really encouraged schools to network and collaborate together, which I know I really appreciate. I'm sure we're all very excited to see what this next stage of joint working will bring as the new teaching school hubs establish themselves. And it's fantastic that so many of you have been able to join us today to find out just that. And that being the case, I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but I'm going to hand over to the person who will be able to tell us exactly what lies ahead. So I'd like to introduce Karen Paul, who is the director of the Alban Teaching School Hub.
Thank you, Claire, and good afternoon, everybody. So it gives me great pleasure to really talk about the next stage of the teaching school journey. And with that, I'm going to go through the main areas of development for the Teaching School Hub and hopefully answer some of your initial questions as well. So teaching school hubs really are designed now to be school-led centres of excellence. This is what's been outlined by the Department for Education, and it's really about a journey from when somebody decides they want to be a teacher right through to any stage of their career. So they will join us as in ITT across the region and then right through. So what I want to do this afternoon is to talk about some of the main aspects of that, and obviously there are some big statutory changes that we need to work with you on, and then there will be follow-up information events about specific aspects of our work, because I'm very conscious that I don't want to give information overload this afternoon. So in terms of the teaching school hubs, we feel very immersed in this language, but we're aware that this is really sort of new territory for most schools. So currently there are around 750 teaching schools nationally. And now that has been condensed to 87 centres of excellence for teacher development. We will go into full operation in September, but my job really between now and then is to establish relationships with schools that we maybe don't work with currently, and for teaching school alliances that you are already aligned with will be joining forces with us on that journey. So this is really part of a large-scale strategic development in terms of trying to really get all the aspects of our teachers' development at whatever stage of their career aligned into one very clear route. And it's aligned closely, as you will be aware, with the DFE's recruitment and retention strategy. So here you will see the 87 regions that now have teaching school hubs. You may be aware that there were 6 pilot hubs this year that were trialling this. Obviously with school closures, that's been a challenge for them, but there are many lessons that we're already able to learn from them. The map on the right, the orange area is the area that our region covers. So that's NWLSC4 is what we are known as. And it's essentially South Hertfordshire, and going up, you'll see that little stretch up to Tring there. That doesn't mean it's a hard border, and there will be collaborative work with teaching school hubs in other areas, and some of you may engage from schools that aren't in that set area as well. And that is work that we've been very, very much involved with already through some of our other project work. So just to sort of go through some of the main principles of the Teaching School Hub before we talk about our area of work specifically. So the Teaching School Hub is central to training and development of teachers throughout their career, and there's a really big emphasis on evidence-based programmes and qualifications. And for us here as a research school and as a very established and experienced teaching school, this is a sort of fundamental belief that we've sort of held true for a number of years. We really want teachers to progress through their career in whichever direction they choose, whether that's to remain as a classroom practitioner, whether it's to move to middle or senior leadership, whether that's pastoral, whether it's curriculum, whichever phase. And so I will talk a little bit more in a moment about who our lead partners are. We certainly don't see ourselves as being central to all the training. We are central to the organisation of it. There are so many pockets of expertise across our NWLSC4 region, and we will most definitely be utilising those. And that's the key second point here on the slide. So the teaching school hubs are asked to develop networks of high performing schools. We know here in Hertfordshire, we have so much outstanding practice already in place, and we really want to preserve and to grow that work. So we will be working with other lead teaching schools who will be losing their designation at the end of the year, but will be coming in as lead partners in our organisation. We don't want to lose, that incredible wealth of knowledge and expertise and the relationships that have been built over previous years. It's really important also, whilst we are a secondary school here, to say that all our networks include special schools, alternative provision, early years, primary and secondary, and we have got lead expertise in all of those areas. So I just thought I would share with you two of the diagrams, which some of you may have seen already, but the overriding kind of principle of the Teaching School Hub from our perspective in terms of the organisation. So we take away we currently have the school-to-school support. This work will no longer sit directly with teaching schools. The core principle is around teacher development. So all teaching schools now have the need to become an appropriate body, and any designated teaching schools currently that are appropriate bodies will not be able to carry out that work, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So there will be a reduction in the number of organisations that you can approach to be your appropriate body. We are really excited about this because with strength in ITT provision here already and across our region, we know that the trainees who train with us across our area will then engage with us hopefully throughout their whole career. So they will enter the profession as an ITT, and there's no change there. Some organisations are already sort of fully immersed in the core content programme, and that then now feeds hand in hand to the ECF delivery. And I will talk quite a bit of detail about the ECF during this presentation. Teachers then enter a 2-year phase as an early career teacher. So we won't hear the phrase NQT, they will be an early career teacher. And at the end of those 2 years, they will be awarded their, the completion of their induction. So it goes from 1 year to 2. Then what will open to them is a whole suite of new national professional qualifications, NPQs, that will take our teachers into whichever direction they wish in terms of their career. This will also run alongside professional learning programmes that are run by the DFE and many established successful programmes across our region. So every teaching school hub, as I say, will now take on this appropriate body status. We have the ITT provision in place across the area, across all phases, and then we will support teachers in all of these phases with their early career framework. So we really do see an investment in the trainees that come with us to follow their career pathways. And we will deliver that, as I say, at every stage and in every type of educational setting. And then the second area around that, just to give you a bit of an overview, and we will send all these slides out to you at the end of the presentation, is that the absolute core focus of our work now as a hub is around high quality professional development for every single teacher. So we are heavily involved in the early career framework, as I've said already. We will be expected to host and deliver the MPQ programme, and again, this will be at various locations across our region, and that's really important that we get equal coverage of expertise across the region, and we will be calling on that expertise in due course as well. That we are delivering school-based initial teacher training, and again, there is huge strength in this in our area, and it will be now about connecting that ITT training with our ECF rollout and then subsequently MPQ qualifications and teacher development as required. All of this is then linked with the DFE's standard for teachers' professional development and the core principles behind that, and also the incredibly valuable work of many of the curriculum hubs, which we already have established relationships with, as do many of your schools. So for example, the computing hubs, the maths matrix hubs, English hubs, EdTech demonstrator, and so on, and the science learning partnerships. There will also be close collaboration now with the EEF and the research schools. So I think there's been so much valuable work in terms of all of these different aspects of teacher development, and now they are very much coming under one umbrella of the hubs, which we think will be sort of a huge benefit to everybody at whatever stage of career they're at. So I just thought I'd share a little bit of our vision as a teaching school hub rather than the DFE language. And these are really important principles that, you know, I will be holding throughout my work and throughout my leadership of this hub and the support to teachers in your school. So this golden thread of teacher and leader development, right from initial teacher training to school leadership, is really exciting. You know, we can really help to grow our own teachers in the area, to hopefully recruit them into successful positions where they can flourish and that we can retain them within our Hertfordshire schools. We really want to develop the very best teachers to support our world-class learners. And that is really through us making sure that the training opportunities, the quality of the training and the experiences that their teachers are able to gain throughout their career really encourages them to want to stay in the profession, to stay in our schools, and to really make Hertfordshire go from strength to strength. A key area is going to be about strength and consistency across our region. I do feel very, very privileged to have worked on the NWLSC group for a number of years now. And I would say that the outward facing collaborative approaches is something that I've seen not only in putting together the bid for this hub application, but also in the dialogue that's already happened in just the 3 weeks since the hubs were announced. So we really want to make sure that everybody has access to the same support, the same training, and we will make sure that that is being, as I say, spread across the region and that we are playing to the strengths of different schools. So whilst I will name certain schools now that have come in on our bid, we know there are many other schools and MATs that we hope will take the lead on some of our projects and work with us in collaboration. The specialist networks in our area are also incredibly strong. We have such a number of lead schools leading on key curriculum hubs, and it's really important now that this work really comes together to help support each other, not just in our region, but with neighbouring hubs, so that we're being efficient with our time and that we are also, you know, really utilising the expertise and experience that is available to us. And I think within that as well, there's been this sort of streamlining of information. A lot of us are coming out with bits of information from all these different areas, and the hub will be seen to sort of centralise that information and hopefully make that more accessible to schools. This in turn will give teachers, you know, a one-stop shop, if you like, where they know where to go to for teacher development in all aspects of their work, and it will signpost them to the correct curriculum hub or the correct MPQ pathway to take them to the next stage. So the 5 core areas that we have responsibility for now as a teaching school hub, and this is quite a shift change from the teaching school alliances as we currently know them. And these are the order in which we have to prioritise the work. And the reason being, and I'll explain the middle one because for me ITT is the most important in terms of us getting the teachers through the door, is this is very well established, and in most cases this will be happening in well-established skits where teacher recruitment is successful, it's got good reputation in our area, and so this work will continue and we will need to strengthen those relationships and links if we don't currently work closely with you. But again, lead partners that I will talk about in a moment will have those connections with you, so we will be building on that knowledge. The early career framework and the MPQ is really integral now to a teacher's starting point. And when we look at in a moment at the 2-year programme for early career teachers and then their subsequent development, you will see the joined up thinking. And I hope you feel as excited as I do about how this will have a sort of much clearer sense of direction for our teachers and their development. The 4th one, the appropriate body services. So this will be new for some teaching schools currently, but what it's enabling us to do is to work alongside other teaching school hubs to ensure that we're offering best value in terms of the services we will provide, and it provides a really obvious relationship between the sign up and the monitoring of the induction period alongside the early career teacher programme, the early career framework. They will go hand in hand. Other CPD will continue, and a lot of that will be, as I say, in terms of the hubs, but there will also be really bespoke packages that have run successfully and new initiatives that, you know, come along without us realising that we will make sure we're offering. And I think the last 12 months have been a really good example of that, haven't they, in terms of, you know, suddenly a lot of webinars around blended learning and strategy we had to put in place during school closure. So we will be reactive and we will be innovative. So I just wanted to outline for you next the organisations that came in on our bid. These are currently our lead partnerships going forward. So I'm hoping that most of you on this call do have established relationships with some of the organisations named here. But equally, then there will be, I know, really valuable work happening in some of your MATs and clusters of schools that we want to know about. But there are some probably people here that you know you could go to ask questions around if you've got anything that you're unsure about also. So without naming all of them, what I really want to stress again is that we saw it as an absolute priority that we had expertise and strength at all phases, from early years through to secondary and special educational settings. In addition, our named ITT provider is the very, very successful Alban Federation, and we know through their close working relationship with other SCITs that we will work in close partnership with the ITT delivery across the area to ensure that their next step in the early career framework is as smooth and consistent as possible. Our early career framework, it said TBC on my slide. I can confirm we will be going into partnership with the Educational Development Trust, who have been one of the 4 pilot groups for the rollout of the ECF, and really align very closely with the principles that we have here in terms of ITT and teacher development. So we're very excited to have secured that relationship for our ECF rollout. And we are a Sandringham Research School. And I just want to also say that in terms of our region, we are one of only 10 teaching school hubs nationally that will have a research school at the heart of its work. And we know there will be lots of opportunities for you to collaborate with the research school around evidence-based work within your schools and centres. In addition to that, there are a number of partner organisations that we are working with and have done for a number of years. Equally, we will be reactive to other grant bids that come out or changes in sort of demands in our school. So these include, as I mentioned previously, science learning hubs, the maths hubs, EdTech demonstrator, computing hub, research school, Alevi, amongst many others. And at the end of this, we will send a survey, which I'd really ask if you were able to do almost on completion of the meeting. We know there will be other partner organisations that you have strong relationships with, and we will want to do an audit to make sure that we are, capturing all that collaboration and connections and networks that have been built already. We don't want to lose any of that magic that's happening in our schools. So I'm just going to take a little bit of time now to talk around the early career framework. I know from queries coming in, this is the thing that's the hot topic. It's the thing that schools need to be thinking about now in terms of staffing, in terms of timetabling, and I plan to outline some of the key principles now, but then we have a full ECF information briefing on April the 15th from 4 till 5 p.m. We will send everybody that was invited to this meeting a link to that webinar where we will go in detail in terms of the programme, what that looks like, and funding and everything behind it. I am going to give quite a detailed overview today, but we'll go into much more depth. So it may be worth sending them the link to the person that will be taking responsibility for that in your school. Also, to just appreciate, this has been very fast paced for us as well. So we found out about our success just over a month ago. We had the ECF rollout from the 6 national providers that were procured by the DFE. And so the decision making and the pace has been fast. So we feel proud that we've been able to communicate to you today as much information that we have already. And by April the 15th, we will have all detail to be able to give to you. We are so excited to be able to bring together the AB function and the ECF rollout across our schools. And I really hope that you like the process and the structure that I'm about to go through with you. It's going to be also important that we deliver this to the highest quality, not just we'll want to do that every year, but equally that we're giving teachers the very, very best start in their induction. So the more of us that work together on the same programme, the consistency for teachers across our area will have so many benefits in the future. So as you will be aware, schools currently have 3 options in terms of the early career framework. You can opt into a funded provider-led programme, which would be working with one of the 6 providers, as I've just mentioned. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Schools can deliver their own training, using the DFE accredited materials and resources, or you could design and deliver your own early career framework over the 2-year period. We are here at the Teaching School Hub really as ambassadors for the full induction programme. So there's the core induction programme, CIP, and the full induction programme. A lot of new acronyms today, we will get used to them. So if I can just say a little bit more then about what this can look like. In terms of the early career framework delivery, in the centre and at the heart of everything is our early career teacher, currently our NQT, now our early career teacher, who will be with us for 2 years. It's really hoped, but we know this won't always be possible, that teacher will stay in the school with you for 2 years. And that's part of the reason why we want a really high quality offer. So they're invested in their training and they will stay the course in one school. Equally, we are aware that that won't always be the case, and that is why it's been really powerful is as a network of schools across this area that we can hopefully all engage in this route so that there's transferable skills across, because we do know a lot of our teachers stay in Hertfordshire area if they do change schools. The early career teacher, as they do currently, has a 10% reduced timetable in year 1 and a 5% reduced timetable in year 2. That early career teacher then has the support from a mentor in school. And I'm going to say a bit more about this on a following slide, but it's really important at this stage to stress the importance of the mentor in the early career framework delivery. This is very different to what would be happening currently in terms of the weekly meeting. There is a weekly mentor meeting, but there is also training behind the mentor role. So you may be wanting to, in your school, be thinking about people that you're going to invest in this training that will stay as mentors. That may be easier in smaller settings. We do know that in larger secondary schools, those requirements can change depending on subjects, speciality, key stages, etc. People will change and they will need to be retrained, and that is fine, but you may want to develop this really as quite a lead role in your school. You will then have within your school an early career lead, and that's essentially the person that's currently the induction lead. So somebody that oversees the mentors and oversees the early career teacher. They wouldn't do the weekly meeting, that would be the mentor, but there's that close 3-way relationship in school that we have currently. But as I say, there will be more emphasis on the mentor role. And I think it's really important we stress that from the outset. That will be the same, whichever of the 3 options you choose for. Then schools can choose to work with a delivery partner, and these are, like ourselves, organisations that will partner with a lead provider to deliver the material. So as a Teaching School Hub, we plan to partner with the Educational Development Trust in terms of the access to their resources, and then in terms of training up our mentors to deliver that programme for you in your schools. Again, that won't just be based here in St Albans, that will be at key locations across our region. And we will really be looking for teachers within your schools that may be keen to become facilitators in what is going to be a really high profile training option. If the delivery partner, then works with a lead provider. Now, a MAP could engage with a lead provider and you could roll out that programme yourselves. But what we are hoping is that with the strength of the size of our hub, with over 310 schools, we will be able to give really good opportunities for joint webinars, for joint networking events, not too regularly that eats into their time, but that teachers feel really empowered to be working with like-minded teachers at the same stage and with the same interests as them. And that in itself, I think, has real power. So these are some of the roles to be aware of. And as I say, we will send the slides out because there is a lot of new information. Okay, so moving on. I've talked then about the time release. And I think at this stage, we've been getting queries from schools because we do know that in secondary schools, the block-in's starting for timetables. So initially is to be working on the fact that the teacher will have 10% reduced timetables first year, 5% second year, and an hourly mentor meeting every week across the 2 years. So that does also impact, the schedule that you are looking at for timetabling. I will talk about the funding linked to that shortly. The thinking behind this is that the time that's scheduled with each of the 6 providers that we could have chosen is that an ECT, our old NQTs, could complete this time theoretically in their 10% off timetable. It shouldn't eat into classroom delivery time or massively into their own time. So it will be scheduled in such a way that it can fit within the confines of the day, although we know that a lot of training is much more effective late afternoon or in a set day where they can really focus on their teacher development. But it certainly isn't onerous on top of that 10%. In terms of mentoring, linked to that, it's going to be about choosing the right person to support the early careers teacher. As I say, they will also be engaged in webinars, in additional reading, in their own programme of development. And this is really an upskilling in the teacher workforce to support our teachers in the early stages of their career. This has been a key area of research in terms of teacher retention, and it's something that we need to invest in and take seriously. The success of the rollout, whether you decide to go it alone or with a teaching school hub or within your MAT, will really be closely linked to the strength of the mentor provision. And we also see that that mentor development will go hand in hand within our teaching school hub across the area in terms of the quality of the training that we offer. We're really getting people to think about instructional coaching, for example, which will form a large part of the mentor meetings. And again, that's a good area of teacher development. So all schools, and you will have read this in the literature that's come out from the DFE, all schools will be funded to provide the cover-off timetable for mentors who are being trained. And you'll see there the timing. There is additional funding, however, for if you go with a lead provider like ourselves to backfill that mentoring, the training time, sorry. So the time for mentoring, the meeting time will be funded. There's then an additional 36 hours funding available if you choose to then go in with a lead provider, which is quite, that's quite a significant thing to take into consideration. So I'll just summarise the funding. I'm going to go into more detail on this on April the 15th in our early careers framework session. So year 1 funding, as we know, is currently funded. Nothing changes there. It's part of the national funding formula, and that's as we know it. Year 2, there will be some variation here depending on the location of your school and which programme you decide to follow. But all programmes will receive the time off timetable and mentoring hours for their early careers teachers, and the funding will vary from 2,100 to 2,600. The figure is dependent on location, and I've got that information on the next slide, so you'll be able to look at that after this session. And then, as I say, if you choose to engage in a provider programme, so one that's rolled out from a teaching school hub or from another large provider, there will be backfill mentor training payments, which is quite significant for the time involved. So that's for the 36 hours per mentor over 2 years. And also to stress that there's no additional fee for signing up to the ECF programmes for any state school. That will be provided. I'm not going to talk hugely to this slide. I've just included it for your reference after the session, but these will be the costings that I'm sure you've seen on DFE documentation and how it works out depending on your location within Hertfordshire, in terms of inner and outer London, etc. And I've just stressed again here about this backfill payment, because that is the major difference, I would say. Okay, moving on. So all schools have to be delivering. It's mandatory that you are delivering the full induction programme by September 22, but it's ideally stressed that you're trying to do this from September. We will be working over the next term to put together the full programme in collaboration with the Educational Development Trust to roll this out from September in schools across the NWLSC4 region, and there may be other schools that wish to be involved also. Our delivery will be really closely aligned with some of our experienced teaching schools in the region that are not continuing as a hub. So we are maintaining their work and their expertise and their leadership and their contacts to help support that work. We will also be utilising the expertise of SLEs across the area. And at this point, I'll just say a little bit about SLEs. So SLEs, as you know, are no longer being appointed this academic year with the school-to-school support shift moving. And what we need to do is to align all SLEs to their nearest curriculum hub. Now, whilst SLEs could do that, we are very willing to centralise that information. We know that that's our talent, our strengths across the region. We can then be making the contact with the curriculum hubs to make sure those connections are made. And also we will get to know those teachers in your schools, which we'd be really excited to know about and to work with moving forwards. So this training, the rollout, will be very much with ourselves, with Advanced Learning Alliance staff, with West Herts Teaching School Alliance, the Ivy Learning Trust, with Acorns, pockets of expertise at all phases that will be involved in the sessions for teachers in your schools. So by accessing the full programme, you'll be secure in knowing that the programme is planned in terms of delivery. We will organise all the sessions, we would market that for you. You would get the funding in addition for the mental time that we know is an additional cost for schools. And I do need to stress also that if you choose not to opt for this, as your appropriate body, or as an appropriate body in the area, we would be required to quality assure the 2-year programme of induction, delivery and materials. So our responsibility is to know that all of the schools in our area are delivering a really sort of robust and consistent programme for all their ECTs over the 2 years. So we just want to make that clear that there would be QA visits if you choose to design your own programme for the 2 years. We will coordinate and facilitate all the sessions across the networks. We will do the marketing, we do the communications, and we can also align it to small groups of schools. So if you're working in a cluster of schools and you want the training centralised to there, some of the more local sessions would be able to be hosted in that way. But equally, there's real strength in the regional sessions that we will also be offering for teachers at all phases. So just a little bit more about the appropriate body services. This is a change because there are a number of very highly experienced appropriate bodies that sit currently within our region that unfortunately won't be able to continue their services in September. We have been in close communication with those organisations, and they are going to be providing expert advice, guidance and time to our services here at the Alban Teaching School Hub. So we feel confident that the really valuable work that many of you have engaged in with these organisations will be continued by us. And as I say, this has been an area we've been considering for some time now, and we're really pleased that it's a core piece of our work, because we really do see this journey with our teachers now from coming in, ITT, and all the way through. We will be really strongly aligning this with the training that we offer in terms of the sort of the monitoring, the reporting, the systems that we use. We plan to use NQT Manager systems, which hopefully a lot of you are already familiar with, and we will be very carefully, and there's already discussions around this, and we will have the information early next term. We will be aligning our costings and charges with our neighbouring teaching school hubs. It's really important that we are offering this service at best value, so giving you real quality at costs that are appropriate moving forwards. We will then also make sure that the experienced teams work together and collaborate in terms of the hub, so there's a consistent message in terms of our expectations with our early careers teachers, and it will work hand in hand with our rollout of the framework. So this is a big change, and as I say, one we're really excited to now bring all these elements together. I will talk more about this also in a briefing shortly after the Easter holidays when we receive more information. As you'll be aware, we are waiting for the final documentation and guidance on this to come out. So I'm not going to say a huge amount more about that this afternoon, but just to say we will have those services and that will be available to all our schools. The MPQ rollout is also from September. Again, this is being launched nationally in just a couple of weeks' time. I will be coming back to this with an information briefing to look at costings, to look at opportunities for your colleagues to engage in this, and also to tell you about the range of MPQs that are now on offer. They have changed. The suite of offer is quite different, and it's been designed very much in line with the core principles from core content delivery to early career framework into MPQ. So there's a real syncing of terminology, of focus, and the style of delivery. And that's something that we're finding really exciting in these very early stages already, that we can see how, you know, this golden thread teacher development is going to work. So I will come back with an information webinar again on that, and we will send all information to head teachers and to professional learning leads early in the summer term. So where do we go from here? There's an awful lot of new things. There's a lot of new development. The joining up of the thinking for our teachers is exciting, and I hope you can see that excitement, and I hope you will come on board with us for this journey. What we really want to do now is to build on this existing expertise and experience across our region. Hertfordshire has such, you know, a good reputation in terms of innovation, in terms of quality, in terms of developing really high class teachers. So we want to continue that work to support the profession. We also, it's very important that we're meeting not just the needs of your schools, but that we're also developing the strengths and the areas of expertise. And we want to know about that. So in the survey at the end, please do let us know. Sort of celebrate your successes so we can then share those successes across the region. This won't just be in terms of ECF delivery, but in terms of all the DFE priorities. And we know they do, they're changing, and we will be reactive to that. We will make sure, in terms of the quality across the region, that that is done through quite a few different means. So really effective, consistent communications in terms of regular updates to our website, and really making sure the right people have the right information. So again, we are asking for certain contacts, so we make sure that we are targeting the right people in your schools. Again, we know that will change, but if we've got a starting point, we will keep our databases as up to date as possible. In terms of opportunities, and there are many at this exciting junction in teacher development, we will be looking for people to offer training for the ECF and MPQ. We have a large bank from our already established teaching schools, but this could be a great next step for teachers within your school. So this may be something you wish to promote. We will put out marketing materials to aid you with that. Your school may have a great venue and want to be involved in hosting events and training. We really want to open up our schools to collaborate, to share in teacher development across a range of schools, to see what's happening, for people to experience things outside of their own setting, COVID permitting. The SLE title, which will be going, we will be creating Alban Leaders of Education. These will be recognised in our region as leaders of education in the same format, and these titles are taken on similar patterns across other teaching school hubs, so it will be in line with other teaching school hubs. There's the opportunity now to expand our networks. We know there are so many pockets of networks already happening in our region, and we will now want to either expand or strengthen or just be involved in some of these networks that are happening. And as a result, there will be many professional development opportunities for people to benefit themselves in professional development, but also to take a lead in initiatives in training opportunities. So here on this final slide here, I've just got a few of the things that we will be working on between now and September. It's very important that we get the key pieces of information out to you, and we are awaiting a number of key briefing materials on the areas I've outlined here, ECF, MPQ and AB. As soon as we have those, we will communicate with you a similar meeting for you to gain that information, and we will open the chat in those meetings so that you can ask the questions. We felt there was so much new information today that there would have been hundreds and hundreds of questions, and we do want to answer those questions, but we will be getting more detailed information which hopefully will support that. I really want to set up links with schools, particularly those that we maybe haven't worked with so closely. So if you're the CEO of a trust or a head teacher, or you're the professional learning lead, it'd be great for me to come and try and visit you, or to arrange a call at the moment, just to make those connections, so we make sure we are really utilising your resources, our resources, to work moving forwards for your teachers in September. We do need to support the onboarding now of your early career teachers as your appropriate body, and that process will begin very early in the summer term. So you may want to start be thinking about that and contacting one of the team to ask questions. As I say, if you can just wait until the official guidance comes out, we will let you know as soon as that is, then we can advise. But as I say, we are already getting together our model of offer, our costings, etc. So we will have a lot of information very, very soon for you. We want you to stay connected with the subject-specific hubs right through from early years to secondary. There's a lot of powerful work going on, a lot of very heavy subsidised work, and we want to make sure, again, that all schools are accessing that. And I'm really excited with the number of hubs based here that we can expand those contacts. And then finally, we want to promote all opportunities to you through our newsletters, through our websites, etc. I'm just going to take a sip of water, one moment. So finally, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I know there was a lot of information there. It would be very, very helpful if you were able to complete the survey, which you should have received by email during this meeting. Also sent a copy of all the slides that I've just talked through. But it will just give us an indication of the areas that you're interested in, further questions that you may have, and then I can make contact with one of my team here, or make contact to answer those questions. So thank you very much for joining us. Here are some of the key contacts if you need them, and we really look forward to working with you in the future. So thank you very much for listening and joining, and we will be in touch soon. Bye-bye.